Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And now that I've done the showcases for at least Albus and Omiji, and I've at least recorded the beatdown battles, I've had a good amount of time to sit back and think about the Festive Memories team. So now it's time for me to give you, some examples on how best to build this new team. So we are going to run with the bones of the Protector, the summonable battle unit that we have right now, and then the free-to-play Ritas. That leaves us 3 additional slots to put a bunch of units into. We are going to get 2 more over the course of this meta, so the 5th slot will be always vacant for whoever you want to use. But I do have a pretty good formula on how to make these videos, so we're just going to stick to that. And I'm going to try my best to give you guys as many options as possible with this limited kind of defense-ish stacking team. Alright, so when talking about charms, we need to look at what the team is doing and what specifically the beatdown battle is asking us to do. This is a blue orb-focused stacking team, so immediately one of the better charms you use for this team is going to be the protection gauge on blue charm whenever I find it. Here we go. So increases Soul of Divine protection gauge increase by 20%. This is traditionally a 2-star charm. It starts at 2-star and then you awaken it higher and higher. I have a bunch of them at level 5 3-star because we get a lot of blue orb chain, blue stacking teams, so I have plenty of these ready to go. This is going to be good for if you want more stacks of Albus because you want extra barrier stacks, you want extra ult damage. This is a good charm for you to use, and it's a 2-star charm, so it's not, quote-unquote, that difficult to get, but you might have to level it up a little bit, so take that into mind. The second charm, because it's a defense-focused team, might actually be a healing charm. So where is that? Once this clicks over. So we have the single target heal. This is a 3-star charm. Heals the ally with the lowest HP by 24%. I've found a lot of use for this during the beatdown battles and during the Heavenly Conquest fight, where it became actually more important to heal my characters rather than getting a little bit extra protection gauge. So these I think are going to be the 2 best charms to use on this Festive Memories team. The healing keeps you topped up, alongside if you want to bring another healer as well, whereas the blue protection gauge just helps you get more stacks of barriers. Other charms that you could use would be the 2-star healing charm that I have somewhere right here. Heals all allies 8% of their max HP. Not nearly as strong, but it is a AoE heal and not just one singular character. And then if you're really going for damage, this is a fire-focused team, so you could use a fire charm, but I would really not do this. I would much rather have healing than extra damage. We're going to have damage on this team regardless, so keeping everyone topped up or keeping them protected is most important, in my opinion. Alright, Orb Changers, specifically blue Orb Changers. Thankfully, Momiji changes a whole hand of oranges to blues, so she's got those on lockdown. Ritas changes 2 green orbs. So if we go back here, right-click on her? No, it doesn't quite work like that. Alright, so Ritas changes 2 blue orbs, which she also does not have a gauge increase on that. So if you're looking for other orb changers, just dedicated, you could use a number of people. You could use Summer Romaris. Special Converter, also physical. You could use the free-to-play Water Rimuru or Geld. These characters would work. He changes greens and his own orbs. He changes oranges, which you kind of don't need, but he can also give orbs away to the character with the highest attack, which is going to be your nuking character. That could help you rush ults very efficiently. But because we have someone who converts all oranges, I don't know if you need Geld. I would rather have someone who has variety, who can convert those random turns where you have 1 green and 1 blue, and I don't want to use both of these skills, because they're going to get rather expensive. So Romaris being able to do that. We have, let's see, where is she? Oh, she's a 4-star. Ahsoka, she could do that. And then if we're talking about EX characters who you can fit on this team, we could use Ogre's Pride Soe. He changes any 2 orbs to blues, whether that be 2 greens or 2 oranges or 1 and 1. Very good. And then for a physical team, we can also use Tempest Elite Benimaru, who is also a special converting character. 1 green, 1 orange to 2 blues. You could also bring EX Guy. This is a physical team that you can crit with. So he's got an extra temporary alt buff that would stack on top of the stacks that Albus is doing. Plus he can change 2 greens and an orange to 3 blues. That could be very powerful for you. So if you're looking for Orb Changers, I would much prefer you bring people who can convert multiple different colors of orbs, rather than just straight across, because we have Momiji, Ritas only does 2 greens, so maybe a little bit more green orb changing would be better for you. Soe, I mean, right now, we have a lot of magic characters on this team, so he would work. He will get phased out because we're going to get more physical characters, and so Guy probably would be a little bit better in that scenario. But there are just a number of characters that can blue orb change. You just have to go through your box and figure out who you have available. But in my opinion, it's better to have someone who converts both colors at the same time. I forgot to mention her, but Prosper Lumi, if you have her, she converts all fire and earth character orbs to blues. So we've got an earth character. We're going to get at least 1 more fire character. She herself is fire. So if you bring like her and Rieger, you got orb change, alt swap, full orb change, the debuff. So Prosper Lumis can work fairly well on this team when it's fully built out with a few more earth and fire characters. And she can pretty much cover all of your orb changing, just like she did for her own Prosper team when it came out months ago. So that is just another really solid option. Ritas, because she's water, will not get her orbs changed, so you have to make sure she's in the back when you're converting with Lumi. Other than that, I mean, she can take care of most anything. Alright, moving on to alt-swapping characters. We have a lot more blue alt-swapping characters than we do any other color, which is great. It gives us a lot of versatility. The big one coming off the board is going to be Blanc. Yes, she's a magic character. This is not really a synergy-focused team as of yet, it's more Pierce-focused. But extra weakness strike will help Ritas and Momiji and the 2 incoming characters do more damage, and if you want to build a synergy-focused team, like you can, and then her synergy resistance down would help. And she's able to alt-swap 3 alts to blues, which this is a blue orb team, so that's very powerful. It also will cut down on the amount of orb changing you have to do once you have multiple alts, because you're going to have 2 or 3 guaranteed blues, and then you only have to do like 1 Ritas convert, or 1 Momiji, or 1 of the special converts from like, we'll just leave Guy in here, because he's going to cover a lot of the different orb variations you can get. So Blanc is going to be especially powerful as a triple alt swapper to blue. But she is not the only one. We do have Warrior's Mind Rimuru, who can convert 1 alt orb to blue. He's only alt rushing space and earth, which Momiji is earth, but the incoming DPS characters are going to be fire, so he's not going to help them that much. But if you are in desperate need of at least an alt swapper, he is available. Other characters who are summonable that can do alt swapping to blue would be, I mean, technically, I guess you could bring Exalted Champion Rimuru and alt swap 1 time into Rainbows if you really need some extra gauge and some extra alts, but he's a magic character, he's giving attack. It's generic enough to work for these characters, but I don't know if I would bring him for a 1-time convert only. The Ogre's Pride Shuna is on the banner for Momiji and Albus, and she is runnable on this team. She's not technically a Festive Memories character, but she is still a strong single-target fire character with, again, a triple alt swap to blue, just like Blanc. It's just that Blanc is more of a support type, and this Shuna is going to be like a DPS character. Even though she's magic, she gives herself a 120% magic buff, she gives everybody 100% weakness strike, and she's got a triple alt swap to blue, and she's on the banner, so maybe you pulled her on your tickets or something, or if you did happen to summon, you might have pulled her. She would be a fairly solid option right now before we get the other 2 characters for Festive Memories. And then, I think that about covers it for summonable characters. I can't think of really any other that does blues. Thankfully, we do have a number of free-to-play characters that can do that. So we have Rieger, we have Gobta, we have Glenda, we have no, okay, that's about it. So Rieger, Gobta, Glenda. These are all characters that currently you cannot get because their beatdown battles are not active. Rieger's from Prosper, Gobta's from Tempest Elite, Glenda's from Commander. These all got rerun a couple months ago, but we've yet to see them come back again. But they are solid options. Rieger can orb change 2 oranges to blues, and he can alt swap 2 alts to blues. So he's going to be not only a good orb changer, in case you don't want to use Momiji for 1 turn, maybe she got too expensive. You can use Rieger to orb change and alt swap. Gobta changes greens and a single alt to blue, but also on his alt swap, he also lowers pierce resistance, which this is a pierce focused team, and he's physical, so he would work really well with this team. And then Glenda, she's giving certain forces the synergy rate buff, and then she also can alt swap 2 alts to blues. So she's not maybe the best character, but because she's also got type disadvantage against the beatdown. But if you need an alt swapping character, she is there. So there are a number of options, and these are all free to play characters. Maybe if you played during these metas, you may have picked them up, and they've been kind of sitting collecting dust because we haven't had a blue meta in a while. But they would be solid options. Gobta and Rieger especially, because they can both orb change and alt swap. Alright, now in terms of damage support units, there are a number of options. This is a physical, gonna be a fire-focused team. So immediately what comes to mind is gonna be Christmas Shizu, wherever she is. Here she is. So she is a fire physical character on Festive Memories, gives a fire buff, which is going to be good for the fire DPS characters. If she's skill fused, she gives the fire resistance down, which does just helps you do a little bit more damage. And then her second skill, which is pierce power and AoE resistance down, which she's AoE. We don't know if the next 2 incoming characters are going to be AoE or not, or they're just going to be single targets. But the pierce power definitely does help because this is a pierce focused team, and we are getting permanent pierce power from Ritas, and then we'll get a temporary pierce power buff from Shizu. So she's going to be a good support character for the incoming fire units. Next to her, as far as buffs are concerned, we already talked about a bit, but EX Guy can give additional alt damage plus guaranteed crits, and the beatdown battle doesn't really seal any kind of specific damage type versus training itself. So it seals attack skills in general, but Guy is not an attack skill, it's a magic skill. We're already getting alt damage from Albus, yeah, but he's also giving guaranteed crits, which you can crit the trainee, so that works very well, and he would double as a good orb changer. And then we also talked about her already, but Blanc being a triple alt swapper, the weakness strike and all that will definitely help. Or if you pulled the Ogre's Pride Shuna, you can also get Weakness Strike and have the triple alt swap and have her be a single target DPS and be buffed by Shizu because she's also a fire character. Again, no, she's not on Festive Memories, but she would fit a bunch of roles into one character, so that's very powerful. Alright, some more characters that could be helpful as damage supports would be Summer Shizu, single target fire physical character, has Weakness Strike and a single alt swap to blue. She's a bit dated, but she can still be useful for a fire-focused team. We have the 2nd anniversary Hinata, who is a magic character, but she can give the 50% all element buff, so that would kind of replace the summer or the Christmas Shizu. But she gives it to everyone, so Momiji would get a 50% buff, Ritas would get a 50% buff, whoever else is on the team would also get it, so she can be very versatile. And then Commander Shizu, depending on what the other 2 characters are going to end up being, she gives Commander and Heart of a Hero characters 100% physical buff, and then EX alt damage 70%. Momiji is on Commander, so she'll get a 100% physical buff and she'll get the EX alt buff, which will stack on top of the normal alt buff that we're getting from Albus. And she's also orb changing oranges to blues, which is what Momiji does, but I guess you could alternate if you really, really had to. So she's also fire, and she's physical. So she can also work as a generic support, depending on what the other two units are going to be. If neither of them are Commander or Heart of a Hero, not as useful to bring this Shizu, but for now, she can work a little bit for this Momiji. More characters you can use for damage support: Elmesia from Determination Prosper and Rimuru. They both can work. They're both giving buffs to fire and earth characters, which the DPS is going to be fire, and Momiji is earth. Elmesia is giving alt resistance down, though, which Momiji is already doing, so you're only really getting alt buff. She's not the greatest option, but she can work. And then Prosper Rimuru crit, and it's health dependent, so like they're okay options if you have them, but certainly not the best. But then Idol Shuna is a Christmas character. She's on Festive Memories, and skill fused, she gives the synergy power buff to both Magic and Festive Memories characters. So if you can skill fuse her, she's going to work a whole lot better. If you can't, then I guess she could do right now as a DPS character, but she's alt swapping to greens, which this team doesn't want. So she's going to get dropped off probably very quickly. And we'll end this segment with the old Light Milim. Again, a magic character, but she does change her own orbs to blue, which this team wants, and she can give a generic attack buff for 45% across the board, so you can give your other characters a little bit of an extra bump. We have both the old OG Masked Hero and, if you pulled her, the new Masked Hero. This hero is crit with a rewind, this hero is pierce with a rewind. Both can be solid options here. This new Masked Hero is magic, not truly a big deal, but we're banking on the rewind skill and the relative crit and pierce powers that we're getting. And then Diablo, having the green buff doesn't mean much. The multi-skill, this team can benefit, maybe using a few different Rita stacks to get extra barriers. And then the guaranteed synergy, like that's going to be very, very strong because it's across the board. So those are going to be some of the picks for damage support options. Not all of them. There's still more out there, but I can't list literally everyone. These are just some good ideas for you. Okay, well, these aren't damage supports. They are supports, and they're going to be healing characters, because this team is going to take a hefty amount of damage, and so to get around that, you're going to want some kind of healing, maybe. So Earth Mirren, Earth Trainee, Wind Lumi, these are going to be probably some priority characters that maybe you sacrifice some damage in order to get some survivability instead. Trainee is probably going to be your best bet if you can skill fuse her, because she has a heal, she lowers pierce power on the enemy, and with the skill fusion, she gives you a 50% alt resistance buff, so you can tank the alts from the enemy trainee much better, because the barriers, you know, they can run out. And if it runs out and she ults you or something, you're going to be in some trouble. So having a healing on hand would be very good. Lumi changes to Green Orb, so she's not the greatest for this team. Mirren is a continuous healer over 3 turns. It's not immediate. It's at the end of the turn, but she can heal you for what amounts to more than what Trainee can do in one skill usage. And then, you know, the best healer in the game is Octogram Romris if you have her, but she's expensive. She can heal like 65%, and if she's skill fused, she can give you some extra defense as well, which will help your survivability. So maybe if you're finding yourself dying a bit too quickly, you sacrifice a damage support and just keep on stacking with Albus to get extra alt buff, and then you just heal over and over and over again, because they're going to get reset, and you probably don't need to heal every single turn. So you can let it reset back down to its low cost and then do it again. So that might also be a viable scenario for you if you don't want to go just pure damage. I think at the end of the video, because I'm recording this after, I only show like damage supports, but just know that you can put in some healers as well and they'll work fine for you. Alright, in terms of DPS characters, Momiji is a support character. She has a single target ult, it's not very strong. She's meant to help support someone else. For DPS, right now, without the other two characters, it's going to come down to Ogre's Pride Shuna, the idle Shuna, because she's also on Festive Memories and she's fire, and then Velzard currently right now, like old fire Velzard, but she's an AoE character. So we don't have that many options that are going to be dedicated fire physical nukers. You could also use Tempest Elite Rimuru, because he is a single target fire DPS, like his whole kit is damage. He's not on Festive Memories, but he's got a personal alt buff, a personal attack buff. He can apply burn, and he can bump his weakness strike up higher and higher. So if you reset him a couple times, he can get a few stacks of weakness strike going. And he's a single target EX alt damage dealer, and he's physical. Idle Shuna, being magic, is at a slight disadvantage. Only slight though, but she can give herself at least synergy power, whether or not she's skill fused. And then Velzard, again, she's an old 5-star, she's an AoE character. She did just get a skill fusion, but that doesn't change the fact that she's an AoE character. So trying to nuke with her in a single target setting, not super ideal. Maybe if and when she gets EX upgraded in December, then she could take over, because then she'd be a strong contender for just damage in general. But right now, her damage is severely underpowered because she's just so very old. 3 more fire characters you can use to try and do damage would be the AoE Momiji, also from Ogre's Pride. Not going to be as efficient as Shuna, because both of her skills are high cost. They're support buffs, and she is AoE, but she is a fire physical or fire magic character. We know she can do a lot of damage in the right team scenario. She's proven that. Not the best option, but definitely an option. Summer Shizu is like you're scraping bottom of the barrel for EX characters that are single target fire. She can work. She's not going to be super duper strong, but she has the weakness strike buff. She has the alt swap. She's single target. She's fire physical. You can make it work for like EX2. And then Old Violet came out with the Fire Velzard. Like, she's still fairly capable of doing damage. Gives herself guaranteed crit, guaranteed pierce, and attack buff. Also has the burn. Like, you can get some use out of that, and she's quite old. You could pick her up for free out of a lot of the ticket shops. So she is available as an option. Alright, this section will be quick and easy, because there are not really that many protection character alternatives that you can use that are defensively focused, at least decent ones. If you have Maribel, you can use her. You're no longer going to get the damage increase, but she does give you guaranteed guard, super guard. She's essentially a slightly different version of Albus, and she's going to be your best bet if you have her, and that's a big if, because I don't know a lot of people that summoned on Prosper to begin with. And then, you know, for defensive metas, unless you rebuild a team to be an entirely different color, we don't really have that many defensive teams that are EX focused. Like Maribel, we have the Vengeance team, which is running in a completely opposite direction, and you can only use that up into EX2. Anything higher than that, it cleanses Vengeance. The beatdown battle does at least. As far as old characters, you could use like Soka, but she's oranges. You could use the Golem, or you could use Watermelon if you wanted to, like if you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Or you could use Wind Shuna, but she is a green-focused character, and the beatdown battle nerfs greens. We don't really get a lot of defensive characters, so it's either Albus. You can attempt to use the free-to-play Alice, but I don't know how well that's going to go. I haven't even used her yet, so I'm not entirely sure how good she's going to be. She does give you barriers, but only on Festive Memories allies, so you'd have to build a very specific team to get that protection, and she's not resetting you at all. It's going to be really rough if you have to use her. So because the game does not really focus on defense teams a lot, there are just not a lot of options for you. So Golem, Watermelon, Soka, maybe, and then Maribel is going to be like your best substitute if you have her. If you don't, then you're going to run a completely different team than what this team is going to be, and you're better off sticking with Divine General or Exalted Champion or whatever good team you have available that's not Festive Memories at that point. Alright, and to end the video, here are just like a few examples of how you could team build to at least take on probably EX2 beatdown battle, or if you just want to use this team in some other places. Small sample size, Albus, Toa as your protectors and support slots, Benimaru, Ritas, Blanc, Momiji, Tempslate, Rimuru, Soe, Momiji, Ritas, Shuna, Ritas, Guy, Fount of Wisdom, Rimuru, Blue Orb changing physical buff if you're going to go with a physical nuking character. So here we put Summer Shizu. You could just put Violet in that spot instead with Momiji. Here we went pretty old school, so we've got Summer Shizu, or not Summer, but Christmas Shizu, and then Violet. Like, these are what you're really looking for. Blue Orb Changers, alt swapping, DPS character, Blue Orb Changers, damage supports, alt swapping, Blue Orb Changers, damage supports, Blue Orb Changers, alt swaps, damage support. Like, this is kind of what you should be looking for, or at least in the ballpark. And if you can't do that specifically, like, this is not the only teams you can run or make, but you're going to have to be a little bit more varied on what you have available in your box. But hopefully this gives you an idea of what you can attempt to use to build the Festive Memories team. Again, we still have 2 more units that need to come out. They're going to fill these slots, so keep that in mind. They're probably going to be fire characters, or at least one of them will be. But if this video helped you out, let me know in the comments below. That's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.